There's a Madden curse, an announcer jinx, but according to irrefutable science that will go on any platform to debate, there's no such thing as a disembodied voice hex, which is good news. Because for today's FTB Cover 5, we're listing the 5 Penn State players the Nittany Lions cannot afford to be without for an extended period of time this season.
Number 5. Coziah Izzard.
Assuming the physical ailment that kept him out of spring practice and the undisclosed situation that kept him in a scout team jersey last September are both distant specks in the rearview mirror, then Penn State defensive tackle Coziah Izzard could be Manny Diaz's answer to multiple questions this season. Question 1. Who plugs in for the departed PJ Mustipher at the 2I/1 technique? Well, maybe Izzard. And question 2. Which Penn State defensive tackle is best suited to split blockers and cause trouble on the offensive side of the line of scrimmage as a 3 technique? Again, maybe Izzard. Several buffet plates above 290 pounds, Izzard proved last season that he possesses adequate heft, active hands, and just enough play strength to shade inside the guard, eating blocks and holding gaps in the run game. According to PFF, Izzard's rush defense grade increased by 73% from his second to his third year in the program. Shaded outside of the guard, however, Izzard is properly twitched up to attack gaps and establish temporary residency in opposing backfields. Despite never playing more than 300 snaps in any of his 3 seasons at Penn State, no current Nittany Lions defensive tackle has more quarterback sacks than Izzard's 4. Now, admittedly, recent news of Akeem Beeman's successful Dr. Nick Riviera window to weight gain journey does seem like it lessens the need for Izzard to produce at the 3 tech, and therefore takes a little of the shine off including Izzard on this list. Still, it has to be comforting for Diaz to know Izzard's versatility provides an above-average option to gobble up critical snaps at either defensive tackle position.
Number 4. Johnny Dixon.
Perhaps no player benefited more from the departure of Brent Pry and the installation of Manny Diaz's ears-pinned-back defensive scheme than Penn State cornerback Johnny Dixon. Diaz's man-heavy style of coverage mirrored a lot of the stuff Dixon did at South Carolina under the direction of then-head coach / angry Little League dad Will Muschamp. Dixon's pre-Penn State film showed that he thrives when asked to touch up receivers at the line of scrimmage and simply turn and run. Dixon's Penn State film, at least the portion with Diaz calling the shots, showed the same thing. According to PFF, opposing QBs completed less than 50% of passes when targeting Dixon in coverage last season, the lowest rate allowed by any Penn State cornerback. Diaz's arrival also unearthed a previously hidden talent, as Dixon proved to be a competent pass rusher when given the opportunity. In 2 seasons at South Carolina and 1 year under Pry, Dixon had 0 sacks and 2 total QB pressures. In 2022 alone, Dixon racked up 3 sacks and 5 QB pressures. With all that said, Dixon's inclusion on this list has less to do with his track record as a college corner and more to do with the lack of experience behind him on the depth chart. Storm Duck's unexpected exit following the conclusion of spring ball leaves Penn State without a 3rd-year or older option beyond King and Dixon, which probably means less series-to-series rotation at corner compared to years past.
Number 3. Dante Cephas.
Where'd all that Dante Cephas hype go? You know, those deep pools of excitement and anticipation that put a twinkle in the eye of every Penn State fan back in mid-January when the 2-time All-MAC playmaker committed? Yeah, what happened to all that? Our only guess as to why Penn State's lone transfer portal signee of any real significance this cycle has sort of flown under the radar this offseason is because he's been largely out of sight and therefore out of mind. Unable to immediately enroll, Cephas was forced to tie up loose ends at Kent State this spring while his future teammates jockeyed for position in the Nittany Lions' crowded wide receiver room. So allow us to reintroduce you to the most proven and most productive pass catcher on Penn State's roster. A surefire starter come September 2nd, Cephas consistently manages to separate from defenders thanks to his burst, suddenness, and short area acceleration. Leaning on an advanced database of releases, Cephas can win vertical routes within the initial 5 yards of the journey, and possesses just enough speed to maintain that cushion downfield. To his credit, Cephas does a masterful job not tipping his routes, running with the same speed and same intensity whether he's trying to stretch defenses vertically or abbreviate a route at a DB's toes. Judging on film alone, we're comfortable calling Cephas Penn State's best route runner already. And that 6 cents for getting open at the second and third level of the defense should serve as an accelerant in the developing chemistry between Cephas and quarterback Drew Allar.
Number 2. Kaytron Allen.
Given their impressive statistical productivity as true freshmen, we have no qualms labeling Penn State running backs Nick Singleton and Catron Allen as the dynamic duo. Where we pause, though, is tagging one guy Batman and one guy Robin, because doing so implies that one ball carrier is nothing more than a complementary sidekick to the other. And, as we all witnessed, that's definitely not the case. So instead, let's go with Batman and Fatman. 2 leads, 2 alphas with vastly different skills and traits tucked away in their utility belts. Obviously, Singleton's breakaway speed can change the tenor of any contest in a matter of seconds. But one could argue Allen's expansive toolkit offers up more ways to exploit defenses, and therefore more ways to win. An instinctual, patient, shifty but tough runner, Allen actually outpaced Singleton in several categories last season, including rushes exceeding 10 yards, first downs gained on the ground, and missed tackles forced. In short yardage situations, like this pivotal 4th and 1 fourth quarter touchdown run versus Ohio State, Allen's thick, developed lower half presents a double whammy for defenses in that he's tough to bring down and impossible to halt once embedded inside a pile. In fact, if you're looking for a lemonade out of lemons guy, it's Allen, as he had fewer runs for 0 or negative yards than Singleton, despite carrying the ball 11 more times on the year. Lastly, as a receiver, Allen showed he's a natural, sure-handed escape valve when no one else is open. As a freshman, Allen was targeted 24 times and did not drop a single pass.
Number 1. Drew Allar.
Placing quarterback Drew Allar atop this players Penn State can't afford to be without list is the ultimate layup. For starters, he's the only quarterback on Penn State's roster who's thrown a pass in college. An undesirable predicament for a team with realistic national championship aspirations, yet an unavoidable reality of modern college football. Last season, Allar connected on 35 of 60 total passes, with only a handful of those attempts occurring when the contest was still in doubt. And while that's not much, a handful is still greater than 0. Second, Allar's elite arm talent is the key to unlocking Mike Yurcich's potent vertical passing attack, a signature aspect of his offenses that's been more missed than hit since 2021. In his final 2 seasons at Oklahoma State, Yurcich's starting quarterbacks completed 66 passes that traveled at least 20 yards in the air. In Yurcich's first 2 seasons in Happy Valley, however, Sean Clifford completed just 37 throws, flung that same minimum distance. With Allar in the lineup, that number should rise substantially. With Allar not in the lineup, heaven forbid, the entire complexion of Penn State's offense changes instantly, as defenses no longer have any real deterrent from selling out to stop the run. Lastly, there's the long-term macro effects of Allar staying healthy and flourishing at Penn State. Recall, Allar verbally committed less than 4 months before NIL took center stage in college sports. Since then, the quest to land 5-star quarterbacks has gotten more competitive and a hell of a lot more expensive. Therefore, it certainly wouldn't hurt Penn State's chances of landing the next Drew Allar if the current Drew Allar lives up to his lofty expectations.